Welcome to
We're live.
immigrationquestion.com, your go-to resource for U.S. immigration insights. We provide clear immigration news and information. Our platform provides a network of licensed attorneys who can answer your questions and guide you through the process. From visas to green cards, asylums to citizenships, immigrationquestion.com helps you to network with immigration attorneys so that you can move forward with confidence. Sign up today or download the app. Free registration, limited time offer. Stay tuned. We go live in 30 seconds.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special edition webinar hosted by immigrationquestion.com, a networking platform and meeting ground where immigrants, families, advocates, and licensed immigration attorneys come together to understand U.S. immigration and procedures better. My name is Chibi Sotusa, and I will be your host for today's important discussion: how to prepare for a USCIS interview, what applicants should expect. Now, the USCIS interview is one of the most important steps in the immigration process. Whether it is for a green card, naturalization, or other immigration benefits, the interview allows officers to verify information, assess eligibility, and make decisions on pending applications. Knowing what to expect, how to prepare, and how to present information can help applicants approach the interview with confidence and reduce the likelihood of complications. To help us break this down, we are honored to be joined by Ibrahim Caglar, Esquire, an experienced immigration attorney who advises individuals and families on a wide range of immigration matters, including interview preparation and case strategy. Attorney Caglar, thank you for joining us today. We're thrilled to have you for this important discussion.
Thank you for inviting me.
Before we begin, a quick reminder to our audience: immigrationquestion.com is a public educational and networking platform. The information shared today is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute individualized legal advice. If you are joining us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or any other platform, welcome. Please subscribe and share the session with anyone who may benefit from understanding USCIS interview preparation. So let's dive right in. Attorney Caglar, can you explain the purpose of a USCIS interview and which types of applications typically require one?
A great question to start with, and I think a lot of people don't fully understand what USCIS is actually trying to accomplish during an interview. So the purpose of the USCIS interview is straightforward. The officer who's interviewing you wants to verify who you are and confirm the information in your application is accurate, and determine whether you are legally eligible for the benefit you're requesting. It is essentially the government's opportunity to sit across from you, look you in the eye, and make sure everything checks out. The officer will review your application and confirm your identity, ask you questions about your background, and give you a chance, more importantly, give you a chance to clarify or correct anything that may need updating since you filed. Because sometimes it takes a year, or even in some cases, even more than a year to receive an interview. So now, which applications require an interview? So I'll list some of the most common ones. First, the adjustment of status applications, the Form I-485, also known as green card application, for people who are already in the United States, and almost all 485 applicants will be called for an interview, especially those applying through marriage or family. For employment-based green cards, interviews are sometimes waived, but it doesn't, sometimes not. But under the current USCIS policy, and we are seeing this in right now, a lot of In-person interviews have become much more common again. Second and 400 applications, that is the naturalization application. And if you're applying to become a US citizen, you will always have an interview. The officer will test you, will test your English language ability, and you will receive a civics test. Those two things happen at the same appointment, so you should be prepared. A third, 581 petitions. If you received your green card through marriage and it is conditional, first you receive a conditional green card for 2 years, and then you will need to file a petition to remove the conditions, and that is called I-751 petition. USCIS has the discretion to call you for an interview on this. And in recent years, they've been doing so more frequently, especially the last year. And of course, asylum interviews, both a USCIS asylum officer and if you're in removal proceedings before an immigration judge, that's not an interview, that's going to be a hearing. Um, the just to the key takeaway is this: the interview is something that you should be prepared for. It is a required step in most of the applications. And when you understand its purpose, it becomes much less scary because they want to sit before cross you and just clarify some information and ask you some questions before they um, uh, whether they before they approve your petition or application, or
Yeah.
sometimes they need more information. Yeah.
Now, attorney, what should applicants expect on the day of the interview?
Okay, good question. Of course, this depends on the interview, but let me walk you through the day of your interview step by step,
Yeah.
so there are no surprises. Right, the first, you should arrive early. Right, I always tell my clients to arrive at least 30 minutes before their scheduled appointment time, because USAS field offices have security checkpoints. If you haven't been in one of the field offices, they have security checkpoints, and sometimes there are really long lines. Sometimes you wait 30 minutes, 20 minutes, depends, of course, but sometimes, especially in the morning. So just arrive early. You'll go through the metal detector and have your bag screened, and you have to wait there. It's like a courthouse or airport security. If you arrive late, you risk being turned away or rescheduling and delay, and you don't want to do that. And when you arrive, when you pass the security, you'll check in the with the alcohol front desk. You have to bring your interview notice, the letter that USCIS mail it to you for your interview, and you have to have a valid photo ID. It can be a state ID, it can be a real ID, it can be a passport. After you check in, you'll wait in a waiting area until an officer calls your name or your number sometime. When you're called, you will be going to a private office, that officer's office. It's not a courtroom, it's just a small office room. The officer will greet you and ask you, usually will ask you to raise your right hand, and you will be placed under oath. The oath means everything you say must be truthful from that point on. And then the interview will start. The officer will go through your application, sometimes question by question, but sometimes they already reviewed the application or the petition. Sometimes they'll just ask you some of the questions just to make sure that you know your application. They sometimes ask you if you prepared yourself, if you had any help filling out the application, and they'll just try to confirm the information is accurate and complete. If there are any changes since you filed, like addresses or employment history, this is your opportunity to mention them, and you should mention them because it will be important. If you don't, you will be missing. That can cause delays. Um, the address information is very important because that's the address you will receive the notices. So for green card interviews, now the typical appointment lasts about 20, 30 minutes, sometimes to an hour. For naturalization, it's a little bit longer because you have the English and civics test. For marriage-based green card applicants, the interview can feel more personal because they'll be asked some very like personal questions. Uh, the officer is trying to verify that your marriage is a bona fide marriage, good faith marriage, and genuine, real, not just on paper. So those questions um, uh, can be about like your daily routines, your finances, your living arrangements, and it's normal. Um, and one important thing I want everyone to remember that you have the right to bring an attorney with you. Your attorney, but this is very important. Your attorney cannot answer questions for you, but they can make sure the officer respects your rights and can clarify any confusion if needed. Because I know that there's sometimes a language barrier. Some clients, uh, some of my clients, they speak English, but they don't they don't want to bring any interpreter. So, but sometimes um, like they don't understand something, so the attorney will help you to clarify everything there. So if you're concerned about your case, having an attorney present is always a good idea, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what steps should applicants take in advance to increase their chances of success?
I would say preparation is everything, it's key here. I cannot stress this enough. The applicants who walk into their interviews feeling nervous are often the ones who haven't prepared. That's my experience. So let me give you some ideas or some things that you should do before your interview. First of all, this is print your petition or application, right? Print and then question by question, read every single answer you gave. The officer is going to ask you about those answers, and you should be prepared. You should know uh, what was your answer, right? You should know your answers. If you don't remember what you wrote, that can create some problems because that's your application, right? So you know your application as well as like as good as you know your name. Number two, gather and organize all supporting documents before the interview. Make a folder, put everything in there. Make some, yeah, organize everything. But don't wait the night before. You should start early because sometimes if you don't have the original copy, maybe you lost something happened. Um, you should go. Don't wait until the night before. Number three, I think, is you should know your timeline. When did you enter the United States? When did you get married? Those are the dates that you should know. It's not okay to say, oh, I don't know when I get married, because these are like, I mean, unless you have some medical or some um, I don't know, unless you have some exception, but you're expected to know these dates. When did your status change, for example? You should know this. Um, the dates, the places, right? Um, uh, uh, Another one is that if you're applying for naturalization, study for the civics test. This is not optional unless you have a waiver. And USCIS updated, I think it was last year. Yes, it was last year and 2025. So if you filed your N400 on, I think it was October 20th, 2025, you are taking the new civics test. which has more questions than the previous one. I think 128 questions. Those are the possible questions that you will be asked. So you must answer at least 20 of them. You'll out of 20. Sorry, 12 of them out of 20. Yeah. So you study the full list of 128 questions, practice out loud, write them down if you need to, be prepared, right?
Yeah.
Number five, you should know where the office location is. Check the Google, check some traffic during traffic hours because I don't know, make sure that how you're going to go there, right? Are you going to take the train? Are you going to take an Uber? So just make sure that you know where the location is. And if you're not comfortable in English, you should arrange for a certified interpreter. You can bring your own interpreter, of course, but it cannot be. This is something that I see a lot. Sometimes they like uh, uh, clients. They have, oh, my sister or my cousin can speak, or um, my spouse, my partner. That can create some conflict. So just arrange someone who is not close relative, that just to avoid some problems. And lastly, I think if your case has any red flags, like maybe a prior arrest or visa overstay or removal, a prior removal order, or gaps in employment, or depending on the interview, of course. Talk to an immigration attorney before your interview. Make sure to how you're going to address those.
Right. Now, attorney, what documents should applicants bring to the interview?
Oh, great. This is a practical question, and one I hear all the time. So every applicant should bring the interview appointment notice and a valid government issued photo ID. Check the expiration date. Make sure that it's valid. Sometimes, like you go there and then you're like, oh, I have my ID with me and it's expired. So uh, make sure that it's valid, it's not expired. And your passport. If you have a prior passport, you should bring them too. And if you did like if you extend your status or change your status, so bring your I-94. Make sure that you can document that you are in status. So any visas, approval notices, previous green cards, like, yeah, all the documents that are related to your status. For adjustment of status applicants, bring your medical examination results if they haven't expired. Usually, you have to file it with your application, of course, but having them with you, if you can, you should have them with you too, in case you need it. And
Okay.
financial documents, if you are applying for adjustment of status through marriage, you need to have an affidavit of support. And if your a sponsor has changed jobs or has filed another tax return, you should have those with you. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, all the originals. Usually file those with the application, but the originals should be with you. For N400 naturalization application applicants, bring your current green card. If you have filed a replacement or renewal of your green card, bring that receipt notice. So if you haven't received your green card yet. So tax returns and everything, yeah. For 751 applicants, bring the evidence of your bona fide marriage. You did the same thing you did when you're filing for the initial green card, right?
Yeah.
Bring the same exact evidence package you submitted for the initial green card application. And this is a tip that I always give to my clients is that bring the originals and photocopies of everything. The reason is that that if the officer wants to take a copy, right, you're not going to give the original, of course. You'll show the original, but you'll give the copy. And finally, if you have a request, if you have received a request for evidence, make sure that bring the response to that RFE and additional documents that requested too.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
what are some common mistakes applicants make during interviews that can raise concerns for the officer?
Okay, thank you. Great question. So, the most common mistake I think I see is that inconsistency between what in your application and what you say at the interview. That's why I always say that be prepared, know your answers, because I understand you might, okay, if you don't know what's in your application, if you don't know how you answered them, you will make, you'll say something else during the interview, and that will create inconsistency, and then that's a red flag. If your application says you arrived in the United States on let's say February 2nd, 2021, you should know that date because you're under oath during an interview, and you should always tell the truth, right? So the
Yeah.
inconsistent, review your application, know what you wrote. Second, um, if you're asked, um, when did you enter United States? Answer that question directly, like February 2nd, 2021. It just volunteering too much information is not going to help you. Nothing more, nothing less. Just answer the question. I see this a lot because applicants who are nervous, they just want to keep talking. And I they just, just answer the question. That's going to be clear, be concise, and stop when you answer the question.
Yeah.
And another one is, I think, guessing or making up an answer. This is so important. Don't forget, you're under oath. So if you don't remember, if you don't know something, just say, I don't remember. I can't remember. I'm not sure. That's okay. Completely okay. If you have an attorney there, the attorney will jump in or say something that, but what's not okay is the making up an answer or guessing. And that will create some problems. Um, Forgetting another one is forgetting to bring an important document. If you're going to a marriage interview, you have to have the marriage certificate. That will create or your IDs, right?
Yeah.
uh, that's very important. Another one is being disrespectful or argumentative with the officer. The officer is doing the officer is doing his job, her job. You are there to get your um, interview done, and then you'll go home. I mean, you're not there to argue anything. You just be respectful. Everyone is doing their job, and just even you disagree with a question, it's possible. Stay calm and respectful. If you don't remember, say I don't remember. The officers sometimes they ask the same question in different, they rephrase it. It's it's okay. Just say I don't remember, I don't know, because they have a broad discretion authority in that room. It's their office. You're in their office, right?
Yeah.
You can raise concerns with your attorney, but but the interview is not the place to argue. Okay. Another one is that this is, I think, increasingly important right now is that having social media content that contradicts your application or raises national security concerns. um Make sure that you know what's on your social media, right? That's all. I'm just gonna say that. And another one, I think this is the last one I have here, is that failing to disclose any prior history, right? Immigration violation, because most of the time they know. So if you fail to disclose those, that's gonna be a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for applicants who feel nervous, what practical tips can help them stay calm and communicate clearly during the interview?
I think this is such an important question. Um, I work with clients from all over the world, and I can tell you that interview anxiety is universal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have been in the country for 10 years or 2 years or it's your first year. Walking into a government office in a country that you are trying to be a citizen of, if you are going for an interview, right? That's a step. So having an officer ask you a personal questions is stressful for anyone. So I understand this. And here's what I tell my clients. First, remember that most USCIS officers are professional people. They're doing their job. It's their job to interview you. And they're not there to trick you. They're not there to verify. They're not there to trick you or scare you. They're there to verify the information. If you have prepared properly and if you know your application, you have nothing to fear. Second, take a breath before you answer, and it's completely acceptable to pause for a moment before you're responding to a question, especially if the question is like something that you you can pause and think about it and then you answer. That's okay. Um, Rushing through is actually not okay. Without thinking, just that will create some problems. And if you don't answer the question, if you don't understand the question, just respectfully ask the officer to repeat the question. That's okay. Third, never guess, right? If you don't answer the question, don't guess. Just say, I'm sorry, could you please repeat that? I didn't understand that. And they
Yeah.
will repeat it. Speak clearly. uh, just no mumbling, right? If you're nervous, you usually when you're nervous, right, your heart races and you naturally start speaking faster. So you should be aware of that. So you slow down intentionally. Okay. And one thing, sometimes you wait in the waiting area for like an hour or two, sometimes even longer. So make sure that you, before an interview, before going to an USCIS field office, eat something, drink something. Um, you don't want to be like hungry, waiting for the interview and thinking about food while you'll have to answer very important questions, right?
Yeah.
And dress nicely. You don't go, because I mean this is not something. You should know that this is a very important interview for your
Yeah.
application, and you don't need a suit, of course, but you're dressed nicely and professionally. Um, Dress like, I would say this to my client, dress like you would if you're going for a job interview, right? You want to get hired, so now you want to get your application approved, so or in an important meeting, dress like that.
Yeah.
And practice, um, of course, practice with your partner, practice with your friends, or just answer the questions, uh, read loud, right? And finally, remind yourself why you're there. You're there. You worked hard to get this to this point, and the interview is the last step before an approval. So stay focused on that goal. Yeah.
Now, Tony, looking ahead, what should applicants expect after the interview, including possible outcomes or additional review?
After the interview is over, one of these three things will happen. First, outcome, and everyone hopes for is approval on the spot. For naturalization, if you pass your English and speaks test and the officer is satisfied with your application, you may receive an approval right there at the interview at that office, and you'll be scheduled for an oath ceremony, which is the final step to becoming a U.S. citizen. For green card applicants, some officers will tell you verbally that your case has been approved, and you know that, and they'll hand you a notice, and but you will receive a notice in the mail too. The second outcome is continuation. This means that USCIS needs a little bit more time, more documents sometimes, or more information before they can make a decision. Usually, they do a little bit background checks. They verify the application. They verify the questions there. They verify that it's you, and then they do a little bit background check before they approve. So that's okay too. It's just a pause, but then you will. It's not a denial. Okay, UCS will either send you a request for evidence, RFE, or they can schedule a second appointment, or they can just approve in a couple of weeks or sometimes longer. But um, yeah, you should just keep checking the case status and making sure that you receive every notice from UCAS if this is what happened to you. And the third outcome is denial, unfortunately, right? If your application is denied, you have options. For naturalization denials, you cannot request a hearing before a USCIS officer. For adjustment of, so you can request a hearing, but for adjustment of status denials, USCIS may place you in removal proceedings before an immigration court, where you can still um, contest the denial, and you will be able to have a chance to argue before the immigration court, before an immigration judge, right? So, if you received a notice to appear after a denial, you should definitely consult with an immigration attorney, because that's where things will get a little bit more. It's gonna be, you'll be going to a court now. Okay. One more thing for naturalization applicants: if you fail the civics test or the English test at your first interview, you'll be given a second chance. Usually, USCIS will schedule mm, another interview. You must pass on that second attempt. Be
Yeah.
prepared. Read everything. You know everything. Okay. Um, so make sure that your address is always up to date. That's where you will receive the notices. And there's an online, you can check out the online website, USA's website, and you can just enter the receipt number of your case on case status, and then you'll be able to see um, the status on your case. And if you have an online USCIS account, that's where you can see that too. Make sure that after the interview, you are always checking that to make sure that you are not missing anything.
Yeah. Thank you so much for those insights, Attorney. Now, for everyone watching, this discussion about USCIS interviews is not meant to create anxiety, but to encourage preparation and confidence. Understanding the process and how to approach it can make a meaningful difference in how an application is reviewed. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. ImmigrationQuestion.com is a networking platform where users can ask immigration related questions at no cost and engage with participating attorneys. We're also proud to share that ImmigrationQuestion.com is Triple B accredited and ISO certified, reflecting our commitment to accountability, transparency, community education, and security. Now, Attorney Caglar, based on your experience preparing applicants for interviews, how does ImmigrationQuestion.com help immigrants and immigration attorneys like yourself?
Um, I think immigrationquestion.com is a great platform for immigrants to uh, to learn about the um, most updated immigration updates from experts, from immigration attorneys. I think it bridges the gap between, the immigrant communities need the most accurate and reliable information, especially during these times where the information is the key. And I think immigrationquestion.com is a great platform for that. Thank you.
Thank you for those thoughts, attorney. Now, before we move into our live Q&A, let's tackle this important question. What is one common misconception applicants have about the USCIS interviews that you believe should be clarified before they attend?
The misconception. Um, I think that the interview is not something to be. This is what I observed. It's not something to be scared of. It's the last step of before getting an approval, right? Before getting a decision. So it's the last step. So you should just focus on the goal, and like the officer is there to make sure that you just to verify. They will verify the information that you provided, and make sure that they will they're doing their job. They're just trying to verify everything that you did. If there are any missing information, if there is anything that you need to update, it will be your chance to do so. And it is it's not something to be scared of. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, we've been speaking with attorney Ibrahim Caglar on how to prepare for the USCIS interview, what applicants should expect. We are now moving into our live Q&A session. This is your opportunity to ask general questions and hear educational insight from a licensed immigration attorney. Please drop those questions in the chat or call us live at 516-703-3483, and we'll take as many as time permits. What documents should I bring to my USCIS interview?
Great question. So your interview notice, and usually when you read the notice, you'll see the documents that they're asking you to bring. So valid ID, passports, any prior, any visas, any prior approvals if you have, right? Just read the interview notice. You'll see what documents you need to bring.
All right. Is there a way to organize my documents so the officer can easily review my application during the interview?
Yes, my recommendation would be to organize the documents before an interview will be. You should have a folder, and in that folder you should have um, the application, and then ID documents, like and then the originals of if you're going to the adjustment of status based on marriage, right? The marriage certificate, the original documents that you need to bring, and then other supporting documents like if you have a joint bank account, a copy of one of the statements, or if you have a health insurance together, like things like that. So I try to organize the documents based on the relevancy and the importance regarding to that application that I am doing. Yeah.
All right. What kinds of questions should I expect during a naturalization interview?
So there will be English and civics tests, right? In English, there's reading, writing, and speaking. So you'll be speaking in English. It's okay if you're not fluent. You're just your goal is to communicate in English. You will be reading a couple of sentences. Make sure that you do your best, and you will be writing a couple of sentences. Make sure that you'll be doing your best. It's everybody makes, nobody is here. Like, sometimes it's okay to, if you don't know how to spell it, just write something that you know make sure that you write something. Okay, and then you will receive 20 questions for if you applied for naturalization after October 20, 2025. You'll receive 20 questions regarding the American history and culture. And so those are questions are published on USCIS website. If you go there, you'll be able to find them. Just study them. So those are the questions that you'll be asked. There are 128 of them. You have to study every one of them. You'll be asked 20 of them. You have to answer at least 12 of them to pass the test.
Now, Attorney, recent reports indicate that USCIS and consular officers are applying enhanced vetting standards, including deeper background checks during the adjudication process. In light of these new developments, how should applicants prepare for interviews differently, and what steps can they take to ensure their information is consistent and complete to increase their chances of approval?
Okay. So this is incredibly important, and every immigrant, I think, needs to understand this, especially right now. So I think the immigration landscape has changed dramatically in the last uh, couple of years, and especially the last year. Um, USCIS and the State Department have significantly expanded their vetting and screening procedures. So let me try to walk through what's happening and what you need to do about it. More importantly, so now UCS officially established a new vetting center. This center is specifically designed to conduct enhanced screening of immigration applications and petitions. And they have classified databases and of course artificial intelligence. So they do cross checks. What you need to do, you need to make sure that your application is correct, right? Because this will you need to know what is in it, and everything you right there that you can actually prove, right? Because or if you did something, if you applied, like let's say if you have an application from 19 let's say 2010, right, 2010, you can request freedom of, you can request a copy of it by via freedom of information, information act request, and you will be able to, you know, have all the applications that you did before, you filed before, and then you'll be able to, I mean, that's what I do in some cases. You'll be able to see, oh, okay, maybe you did write your address there, but now you are not, you don't remember, or you forgot, even you if you lived there or something. So you'll be able to have all the full history of your case. That's going to help you. Social media is now part of the vetting process.
Yeah.
USCIS has proposed collecting social media information, right? Your username, um, everything that you know you need that can be associated with you, and this affects millions of applications every year. And this
Mm,
is you should, I mean, you should be you should make sure that your social media is good. Um, it's something now they're doing like, I mean, I don't want to go into details of this, but it's something new. Okay, it's
mm,
something very new. But they try to see if there's anything that is anti-American or any. So just be make sure that you what you post on your social media might affect your. Just be aware that it might affect your application too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thank you to everyone who joined us for this special edition webinar, and thank you, Attorney Caglar, for sharing your knowledge and practical guidance with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
You can always visit immigrationquestion.com to ask immigration related questions, stay informed about policy updates, and register for upcoming live events. If you missed any part of this important discussion, the replay will be available on Spotify soon. Just search Borderless Talk by immigrationquestion.com. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at our next live session. Until then, stay informed, stay prepared, and stay connected. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.